Hey there, guys. Welcome to day 4 of our devotional thought. I feel like every single day I love the devotional principle, but this one may be my favorite. And the reason it's my favorite is because I think this is one of the biggest misunderstandings in the church today. And so I grew up in a very conservative home, and growing up, I was under the impression that there were two types of jobs. There were secular jobs and there were spiritual jobs. And so if you were a doctor, teacher, lawyer, police officer, whatever, that was a secular job. And those were good, but it was really, really good if you had a spiritual job. And that was like if you were a pastor, and if you were really, really spiritual, like you were a missionary. And those were the jobs that, the Lord was really going to use you at. And I think that's a really big misunderstanding. One, I don't see that anywhere in Scripture that God draws a division between the secular and the spiritual when it comes to work. And the second part of this is I would make the case that you might have a bigger opportunity to impact the kingdom in a secular job than I do in a spiritual job. The truth is, most people I come in contact with, they already have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. They're growing. But the truth is, you rub shoulders with people every single day who may never hear the gospel of Jesus Christ if it isn't for you. And I know in the 21st century, you might be thinking, well, I can't share my faith. Like, can't bring that into the workplace. I can't start a community group. I can't tell people about Jesus. But what I would tell you is you don't even have to do that. Here's what you need to do. You need to be the hardest worker. You need to be the most attentive. You need to be the person that always over delivers. You need to be the person that always serves the team and makes it better. And over a period of time, people will notice your character and they'll start to ask you questions, and it'll give you an opportunity to say, you know what, there's a lot of things I maybe do well here at work, but I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you the reason I am the way that I am is because I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And listen, that may not be your thing. You may not be interested in faith, but if you're asking me, I'm telling you the reason I'm having an impact here is because of Jesus and the impact he's had on me. So I want to close with one of my favorite stories. So there's a pastor. His name's Chip Ingram. He has a worldwide ministry. I think it's out in California right now. Funny, interesting story. He actually started his ministry in Kaufman County when he was at Dallas Theological Seminary. And I heard Chip Ingram tell this story years ago, and it had just a profound impact on me. Chip told a story, grew up, wasn't a Christian, met a guy. The guy shared his faith with him. Chip became a follower of Jesus Christ. And so this guy, who was a very, just wasn't, Chip said he was nothing that you would be impressed by. He was just a very simple man, owned a concrete business, was just faithful to the Lord. But he started to disciple Chip, and so he taught Chip how to read the Bible and how to have a Bible study and memorize Scripture and follow Jesus Christ. And so Chip tells this story that one summer they're on the job site, and they were laying concrete. They were building this foundation. And so they were starting to build the cornerstone. They were starting to build the wall, and they're putting together. And this is hard, laborious work. And Chip's saying, man, we worked all day on this wall, just getting it perfectly set. So it comes to the end of the day, and as Chip's loading some of the tools onto the back of the truck, this guy, his mentor, asked Chip, he says, hey, can we measure this? I think it might be a little bit off. I think this wall might be a little bit off. So the guy measures it, and he finds out it's 1/4 of an inch off. And so Chip is putting the tools in the truck, and he's thinking it's 1/4 of an inch. Like that, nobody is ever going to know that this wall is 1/4 inch off where it's supposed to be. And so as Chip's putting these tools in the truck, he says he hears the worst sound in the world. He turns around, and this guy is knocking down this entire wall. They spent the entire day building this wall, and this guy is knocking him down. And so Chip's getting a little frustrated because, they spent all day doing this. And he turns to the guy, and he looks at him, and he says, what are you doing? Dude, you're knocking down this entire wall. He goes, nobody would have ever known. It's not that big of a deal. And here's the line that got me, and it still gets me this day. The guy said, listen, I don't build walls for people. I build walls for Jesus Christ. And Chip goes on to say that that moment had more of an impact on him than any sermon, any book, that just impacted his life, because here was a guy who was a bricklayer. But he said, I don't build houses for people. I build houses for Christ. You don't go to work for people. You go to work for Christ. And when you do it really well, people take notice, and they ask you why you are the way you are. I hope that encourages you. I hope that pushes you. Happy 4th of July.